I want to make a rotisserie, a rotator, whatever you want to call it, for the airplane airframe fuselage. Some of the stuff I've got to do now, it'd be a lot easier if you could rotate the airplane around so you could work on it on an even level instead of laying down and crawling underneath it, or you could tip the airframe over and stack it on something, but there's that's kind of a pain. And there's always stuff there that can be damaged when you do that, gingerbread or whatever they call that stuff around there, that's real thin metal that surrounds it. It's kind of a form around it. But the first step is going to be, I'm going to make some metal sawhorses. It's like that aluminum one there that steel is laying on. So I can, something that I can handle the steel on, that I can unlay pieces on and doesn't chew them up and is strong enough to hold it up. Most all of this stuff is going to be out of scrap that we've collected here and there over the years. This stuff we've got here was old metal we salvaged from the gymnasium when they overhauled it and they put in new bleachers, and this is the hand railing off the old, or some part of the old bleachers. The first thing I'm going to do is, this stuff's all been laying outside for quite a while, so it's pretty rusty, and I've got the plasma torch there that I brought out and tried it out the other day, and it works pretty nice. But this stuff's all rusty and I have to de-rust everything first. So back to old school, I've got the oxyacetylene torch, and I'm going to blow the bolts off of this rather than trying to fight with them with a wrench or anything, and disassemble this stuff and break it down to parts that we can then use for something else. I've got a couple more of those I drug down. I had to drop to chase the dogs down because they were chasing the guineas a while ago. I've got these fancy glasses, and I'm not really much of a fan of these things too much, but they're shaded for cutting, and these have cheater lenses inside of them. Now they don't, these only go up to 3, but and I need a 3.5 or so to see real well, but these will work better than nothing. And my other glasses, I loaned them out to somebody here a year or so ago, and they busted them up. Oh yeah, there we go. There's a nice rusty strap. All right, now just figure out a pattern for those and cut them down. Well, I got these legs or whatever they were on that bleachers out of the gym. I got those all cleaned up. You know, they had paint on them, but they also are pretty rusty. They've been sitting outside in the muskeg for 7 or 8 years, I guess. You see that one there's pretty bad, pretty badly pitted. I had to take and chip the stuff out of it, but the rest of them weren't quite that bad. Oh, I want to take these and cut them off and make legs and a stretcher for some work tables, horses, I guess you'd call them. Make out of steel instead of wooden ones to use for doing steel work on. So I decided I wanted to cut these off 36 inches, and I was looking at different ways of doing it. I could use the old Armstrong method with a hacksaw, which I've done a lot of, and that's what I was going to do. Or I could have got the Sawzall and cut them off. Of course I could cut them off with the oxy torch, but that's always a mess, especially when I do it. Oh, I thought I'd go ahead and give it a try with the plasma torch. So the first thing I did was I I set one up here. What the hell did I do with it? Set one up here on the bench, and this bench, I don't know where we got it. Somebody built it, and we got it. I think a neighbor built it for working with them, some aluminum or something, and we got it when they moved away. And it's not much of a bench, but is working for this. So anyway, I've just got a couple of C-clamps there, drop down in the hole in that leg, and that gives me a good V-notch for this pipe to work on. And so the first thing I did was I took a hose clamp and put on this end. And see, this end is flattened out with an eye in it for a bolt. So anyway, like I said, the first thing that I did was I took a hose clamp and put around that pipe there, and made my first cut that way. And it worked okay, except I've got this guide around the torch for standoff, and if you don't keep the exact same space on the guide on whatever you're running against, it's going to vary the distance from the torch a little bit. And so that did that a little bit. It also, when it hit the worm gear on the hose clamp, then it would kind of bop out around it. But it didn't do too bad of a cut, all in all. I mean, this was the first one, and I had to turn the torch up quite a bit to get it to penetrate. The wall thickness is more than I thought it was. So, but it made a pretty clean cut, a pretty square cut, not too bad. But I got to thinking of what I could do better, and I've got this piece of 4130 tubing I got in a kit from Aircraft Spruce, and then I've got these big neodymium, whatever the hell they are, magnets. Oh, I took one of those and put on here in this tubing, and laid it out on there, and I made that cut on it, and that come out pretty damn good. I might get another magnet and put on here 180 degrees out from that one on the opposite side, because this thing did spin just a little bit, but it's got a good square cut on the end of it, and it stayed on the magnet. So I had this ground clamp where it would just spin around as I cut too. So anyway, that worked out pretty good. You can see that spins a little bit on there. Anyway, that worked out pretty good. It gave me a nice square cut. So and it gave me a clean cut on there once I got the torch set up to a high enough amperage. I got the torch set for 44, and I had it set for 35, and that wasn't enough, but 44 will do it. If I set it any higher, then I've only got it plugged into the 110 circuit in this shop, and that circuit breaker is kind of tired, so it'll just throw the circuit breaker if I run it up to 50 amps. I cut off that one end, and then I measured to 36 inches is where I put this pipe here. So it winds up being approximately a half-inch longer than that, but that's fine. This is not going by anybody's blueprints by any means, just guessing by gosh. Okay, well, my cuts are getting better. That one's actually pretty good. It's pretty straight. I just knocked off what little dross there was on there with the hammer. I've learned to hold the torch straight up and down in the middle of the pipe, so it's cutting straight down through the pipe instead of at an angle. When it goes off at an angle, you're going to wind up cutting through a lot more material. So if it's cutting straight down, it goes pretty good. This pipe will spin a little bit as it goes around there, but the magnets hold it against the spot. So it stays pretty much located where you want it. Well, I'm ready to tack my first leg together. Question is this a leg or is this a pair of legs? Does one of these constitute a pair of legs, or is it just one leg and two of them together is a pair of legs? I don't know. So this will be my first tack. Tack these together, or weld these together. And I just laid this out on the floor using the straight edge along one of the lines of boards for a center line, and I marked 36 inches between the bottom of the legs there, 18 inches on each side of that center line. I put another scrap piece of 2x4 along that center line, that 2x4 is not quite tall enough to run that circle saw over for a guide. So I had to go get a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and tack onto the top of it. And then I cut it with the circle saw. When my son was down in Portland, I had him pick up a couple of these cheap Harbor Freight circle saws. And he got one of them with one of these metal cutting blades. I wasn't sure how this metal cutting blade was going to work. But I gotta say, that thing cuts through that steel tubing really nice. You do want to wear safety glasses and face shield with it and cover up, because it does send chips of metal all over the place. Oh, I got to run up to the basement and get my welding helmet. I'm just going to use the Century welder, but it's set up with flux core, 30 thousandths flux core. And so we're kind of outside here. Now I got one stand built. Might be a little bit tall, but I wanted it tall enough that I didn't have to bend over when I put stuff on it to work on. And that one is just about waist level on me. Went together real well. It was a little bit tippy, so I had to grind a little bit off of 2 opposing legs, one on each side, on each corner, to get it to sit flat. I went and dug out some more handrails and from the bleachers, and I'll go ahead and disassemble them and get them cleaned up and make me a couple more. Well, I got 2 nice welding horses built. I built the second one yesterday, finished it up, and it's pretty nice. It's about waist high, probably a little higher than many people would want, but that I get this stuff up on it, and then I don't have to bend over so much to work on it. So and they look like they're going to hold up pretty good. And now I've got a piece of box tubing on there. That's also came from the bleachers. So I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to wire brush it, clean it up, and then start making a frame for a rotisserie for the airplane. I probably could have had it done if I'd concentrated on doing that instead of making these sawhorses or these welding horses. But I've always wanted a set of those, and now I've got them. And now I don't have to bend over so much to work on all this stuff. So I'd like to have a nice welding table too, about that same height, so I could match that up with these. You could have these off on both sides and just support long pieces and stuff, and a nice table, flat table to work on. But we'll see about doing that later. Right now we got these done, and it's on to making the rotisserie.